Okay, we're live. Now we're live. Just been sitting here chatting
Oh
for
my
15
god.
minutes.
How do we continue like a smooth transition
Okay,
into the
well,
whole thing?
we're just talking about your LinkedIn experiment and how you're
Yeah.
using it as like you're sharing learning progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
On LinkedIn. And
Mm-hmm.
then you're
Mm-hmm.
going back on Instagram and saying like, "Oh, here's what's going on, guys." Because I noticed that. I noticed your feed changed and I was like,
Yeah.
"What is Agnes up to right now? Like, what's going on here?" But I liked it, but I love all of it, but I'm like, "Wait, what's going on?" And so you're saying, it's I'm testing out my methods, and my point is that on LinkedIn, people cheer
Mm.
you on when you're learning something. Oh, I got a certificate. Yay, balloons. Oh, I got this thing. Yay. Like, oh, I'm using this tool. Cool. I use this one. Like, they're very engaging that way because that's kind of what people are using it for. They're like to share their learning experiences, their new programs that they've got, their jobs, whatever. So building up an audience that way is fine. But then when you go and you sneak into their DMs and you try and message them about a sale of some kind, they get very defensive. Like it's
Mm.
like that same audience you had, just like, whoa, get away from me. Like, who are you? Stop spamming me. And so that was the problem back in 2020 that I was having because I was sharing posts of me learning the language of UX, right? And
Mm.
so as I was learning the language of UX, I'm posting these videos, doing all these things, and people were like, "Oh, this is really cool." But then when I would go into their DMs and say like, "Hey, like I do coaching, da da da," they were not into it because I'd come at them from like a peer group. So I'm like peer to
Mm-hmm.
peer
Mm-hmm.
instead of like an expert.
Mm-hmm.
And so now my funnel's totally different. I mean, you helped me think in funnels. I was thinking totally horizontal before, right? Now I only think vertically. Like if it's not
Mm-hmm.
vertical, get the hell away from me. Which funnel does this fit into? I have two. That's it. Right? And there's like the layers so they
Mm-hmm.
can entry at all different points. Um, and now that I have that, instead of posting all about my learning experiences, right?
Mm.
Because I actually don't want to be their peer. I want to be the expert who they go
Mm.
to for whatever. Since I've been doing that, I've been getting more requests to come talk to groups,
Mm-hmm.
more people going into the top of my funnel where they get an assessment call, where they get like a score for them sharing their stuff as they learn, right? And so it's actually been setting me apart. So even though I'm posting less,
Mm-hmm.
and even though I'm not posting about really what I'm doing, really, I'm just posting polls mostly, or like maybe reposting like an event or something like that. I've been getting way more people into my funnel, like to the point where I actually had to schedule out my week differently so that I only do assessments on Mondays. And then the rest of the week, I have time to do the coaching clients. I have time to do my networking because I have to
Mm.
like start networking to get my clients those other jobs, right? Like I need to start finding people who are hiring these people. So I've started doing like a coffee chat. It's like a 10-minute coffee chat with people. So I have like, and my other discovery calls. So like after they go through that initial assessment, the discovery call is like the sales call, right? So like that's throughout the week. So I've had to like block it off differently because it was just like the assessments were just taking over my life. And now I'm booked out till mid-September with assessment calls. My next 2 weeks are totally booked with calls, with networking calls, discovery calls, and clients. Um, so it's like the positioning, how you position yourself on LinkedIn is really important. So, because I was noticing, I was like, oh, like Agnes is a software engineer now. And I was like, what is this girl up to? So, how's it going? Like, how's your experiment going?
It's been going a lot better than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Like I grew a lot faster than I thought I would. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of happy that my strategies that I've been sharing with people actually work,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's the first part. And I even got a client yesterday. So it just kind of made me wonder, why do people find it so hard? It's
Mhm.
probably an execution problem,
Mhm.
right? Anyway, earlier on, you did share that, your perspective was that you don't want to give everything away, right? You want to retain all of that information. So for me personally, I'm the total opposite. What I do is I give everything away because I know 99% of them cannot implement without my help, right?
Mm.
So I give information away for authority and trust building, and they pay me for my help for implementation,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
that's mainly my belief. I'm not saying
Mhm.
that yours is wrong. I'm just saying that is mine. And yeah, I've been seeing results from that as well, right?
Mhm.
So for like software engineering, obviously I cannot talk about code. I can't talk about the technical side. I also cannot talk about career wise because I'm not, a full-time employee or anything like that. But I realize that majority of them are. So their content, it's really for like maybe a senior software engineer talking to a junior software engineer, teaching them how to progress upwards in the company, something like
Mhm.
that. So
Mhm.
it's so narrow, and the worst part is all of them cannot write.
Yep.
Because they are so technical, they cannot write.
Mhm.
So I realized that, it's actually pretty easy to cut through everything because my angle is from the product and the design perspective, right? From the
Mhm.
business perspective. So that
Mhm.
all my content is for software engineers or for, IT founders, whatever it is, but from a user perspective, like
Mhm.
solving the problem, how are you going to get users on board? How are you going to test it? How are you going to get pitch funding, seed funding, and all of those things? So that was my unique take on software engineering as a whole,
Mhm.
right? And because of that, there were actually a lot of people who approached me, asked me for calls because they wanted help with the ideation side of their project, or maybe they needed some help with getting volunteers, right? That's why I reached out to you
Yep.
once.
Yep.
um
I reached
yeah,
out.
and so basically I realized that it's not only important for you to post good content, but it is also important to know who your competitors are, quote unquote, obviously in this case. You want to know how other creators in your niche are creating things
Yeah.
and how you can stand out from them, right?
Yeah.
If I were to continue to say like, oh, here are 10 things that I learned from JavaScript, I'm probably not going to get that engagement.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, because of how competitive every platform is, you have to look for a unique angle, I would say, a unique point of view, and
Yeah.
use that to your advantage. Like it
100%.
made it so easy for me to stand out.
Yeah.
I'm even like connecting with people with 20 years of experience. I don't know why they want to connect with me, but it's probably because of my unique take on the subject that they
Yeah.
find it interesting as well. That's why I kind of grew pretty fast in the past 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing if I can monetize anytime soon. Yeah, so right now it's just giving away information, jumping on calls with people, and if someone wants to pay me for coaching, they will pay me for coaching. Like I got a client yesterday. It was so out of the blue. We were supposed to just chat. And the funny thing was, I knew he was going to try to sell me because he is a senior and probably trying to become a coach to juniors. So I knew that that was like my persona, right, on LinkedIn. So I had a feeling he was going to sell me. So I kind of went into the call all prepared, and I flipped the table. And he wound up paying me. So there was that was the first time I had that experience. It was quite funny,
That's
but it was really interesting.
amazing.
It's really interesting. The people on LinkedIn, it's so different, and there's still a lot of opportunity. That's how I see LinkedIn right now.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I'm
the,
saying. That's what I've been saying. That's literally what I've been saying. I'm like, it's
Mhm.
awesome. It's so different. it's not Instagram, it's not Facebook. It's like professionals seeking something. They're seeking a job,
Mm.
they're seeking knowledge, they're seeking to show off. It's something, but it's all professional related. So it's related to their career, related to their education, something along those lines, you know? So it's like if you can like get in there, it's awesome. I love how I'm on your LinkedIn right now. I love how you're featured. You only have one link because it shows up so big. I
Mhm.
think I might do that.
Yeah, that link actually just went up there like a few days ago because of the number of calls I've been asked to go on,
Yeah,
and
so it's right there.
they're usually like software engineers or some type of engineer who want to create a project,
Mhm.
hoping to monetize it, to get users to sell it to, like B2B and stuff like that. So there are a lot of really hungry people,
Mhm.
and at the end of the day, like you said, right, on LinkedIn, there are a lot of hungry people, but there are a few that understand the concept of investing in themselves, and there
Mhm.
are a few who only understand the concept of grab everything while you can that is for free. So
Yes.
that's why
Yeah.
I decided to put up the link, right? So if people are, really interested in investing in their product and speaking to me, then yeah, they can
They
book a
can find
call,
you.
make a payment and stuff like that. Right. So
Wait, so
that
that
call,
one-on-one call is a paid call?
yes,
How much is it?
I charge 150 Sing because that's my rate for like an hour consultation. But who
So the
knows?
one-on-one is with Calendly and they have to make a payment before they can actually meet with you?
Yeah, but I'm not using Calendly. I'm using like a competitor of Calendly. But basically, it's the same. You have to book, like, select a date, a time on my schedule, and then
Yeah.
make a payment,
Yeah.
and then it will go through. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it won't go
And
through.
then it won't
So
go through.
mhm.
Oh, I like that. So wait, so everyone who's met with you's paid you 150 bucks
Not everyone, because I just put up the link like 2-3 days
2 days
ago.
ago, right?
Yeah, so it's just maybe
That's sweet.
four people, so about $600.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, because like eventually I was thinking like, ooh, like my assessment calls, they're free right now. And like it's fine that
Hmm.
they're free, but they're actually like a lot of work. And I don't really do much. Like they just like I provide them the time and then they get a video recording all this stuff. But I was like, I wonder if I charged for that, if people would still take it. It's interesting. That's
Well,
cool though.
if you want to charge for that, you have to start creating the content to build the trust first, because they don't just book off the bat. Like, they've been looking at my profile,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
After a while, they probably comment here and there, and then we DM a little bit, then they would book. So it's
Yeah.
actually a really long process, maybe like a week or so.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, you have to build trust, for anyone to even want to think about paying.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, my stats since the beginning of June, when I started this new way of thinking because I'm trying to like switch over to a recruitment firm.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had 58 people book assessment calls. Out of those 58, four have become clients, and the rest, some of them are like, okay, like, in a little bit, I'll be a client or in this, whatever. But I
Mm-hmm.
have them as candidates so that if I do eventually get the recruitment firm, I can get paid a different way with them also because the company will pay me to like place people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like okay, sure, they might not do it on the beginning, but on the end they might come in and do it. But yeah, I don't know if each of them that'd be interesting. I should go back to them and ask like, would you have paid for the assessment call to
But
see?
right now, for like the numbers that you mentioned, it's probably about 6-7% conversion rate. Like, from the 58 calls, you get, I think it was
Yeah,
four
'cause
clients.
there's like a bunch of no shows, like one,
Mm.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
But six,
8,
7% is a really good rate.
11, 12 no shows. Yeah, right? That is a good rate, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, oh, actually, this is really working. So that's
Mm.
cool. Because it just becomes so blatantly obvious for them after the assessment call where they need to improve.
But what do you guys normally talk about on an assessment call?
Oh, no,
What
no.
is it like?
It's 45 minutes. I say, hi, do you have any questions? We're recording. If they
Mm.
have questions, we actually book a 15-minute discovery call before the assessment call because the
Okay.
assessment call is like we're getting in. So it's 2 minutes about themselves. They present a case study. They present their portfolio. I ask them 5 typical interview questions, and then we do a whiteboard challenge. It's all filmed, and so then they
Mm.
can see they where they need help and where they're excelling. Then there's a
Mm.
form that they follow up with. I follow up with them like immediately after the call. They can upload their resume, their portfolio links. They can give themselves a score out of 5, like how they think they did on the call. They can talk about, what they didn't do so well, and then I basically, or what they think they did really well on, whatever. It's like a big form. It's not that big, but it's comprehensive. Then
Mm.
basically from that, after the call, I immediately use my Airtable and give them a score to 25. It's very objective. I just like put in the marks, and then I
Mm.
basically take that score, and then that score has different feedback. So it's like, okay, if you're at this level, this is what I recommend. If you're at this level, this is what I recommend. But it's all based on the score, and then I see if my recommendation aligns with what it is that when they're looking for, and two, that like if it's what they said that they wanted to work on or not.
Mm.
Put that in a little PDF, send it to them, and also with like a link so they can watch their video again.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
questions that they have to ask themselves while they're watching the video. Then when they come back to the discovery call, now they've done all this work to figure out, okay, like where are my gaps? So then on the discovery call, I basically just ask like, okay, well, how did the video go? And then we go into that script, right? Where
Mm. Mm.
I'm asking them what would motivate them to change. And people like, I had one lady who she was like, can I pay you right now? Like, I'm gonna pay you right now, and like let's start in a few hours. I was like, sure, that's fine. Let's do it. So like the last 2 actually have been really quick. They're like, I need help with this now. And it's because they can see it. It's just so obvious that they need help after that assessment, you know? So
Mm.
I think like maybe eventually, like in a year or two, when I'm really like a recruitment firm and I have really good clients lined up that people can get jobs with, like actually go through this interview process with, like once I've like set up those pipes, then I can actually pay for the assessment call because it gets you into my candidacy program. But right now, because I'm still building that up and building up the network, it's really all I have to offer them at this point in time because I'm not actually like finding them a job yet. So, but I think eventually, because then the content that I can be is like, oh, I'm working with, top Fortune 500 companies. Like, you want a job being a UX designer there? Great. Like, join my recruitment firm. Super specific.
Mm. Okay.
100.
So why not? Let's take this opportunity. I mean, if you're up for it, let's look at the numbers a little bit. And why is it so hard to wipe my whiteboard? Okay.
I got rid of all my whiteboards and my boards because I was like, I'm spending so much of my life scrubbing. I'm just
Yeah. It's like dried up.
yeah,
Oh
it's
my
like, oh my god, I just
Okay.
can't.
1 second about done. Just 1 second. Okay, I'm ready.
That's so funny.
Right. So you were saying that 58 calls, you got 4 clients converted. All right.
Wait, it's saying here though 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Who are the 6? I've got 6 apparently. 'Cause I have a 1 mark. I have I have one of my views on Airtable. It's like a filtered view, so it's like, okay, follow up is complete and 1, And so there's 6 here.
That's a good thing.
Great. Yeah, but
Yay!
Oh man.
Dude, that's like a 10% conversion rate. That's a very
Yeah,
high
that's what I'm
rate.
saying. It's good. It's actually like it's working.
Okay, let's break it down a little bit though. Like for these 58 calls, how much time did you spend to get them on the calls? Like
A
roughly.
poll. So like I put out a poll and then basically it's like 40 minutes once the poll ends to message everybody who messaged me about the poll. And by message me about the poll, I mean who participated in the poll.
Okay, so
It's
it's
about 40 minutes to message everybody.
so for 40 minutes of work, I mean, posting out the poll is probably like 1
2
second, right?
seconds.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Like
not gonna
reposting it
include
all
that.
week. Like, all right.
Okay.
1
And
minute. And the
how
poll's
long is
always
the
like, are
call?
you looking for a job?
Yes. Obviously, yes. But how long is a call? Like
45
on
minutes.
average. Like it doesn't go over or it doesn't
Sometimes it goes over like an hour, hour 15, but I'm like, if it goes over, yeah, well, I usually let them talk because then they realize when they come back, they're like, oh my God, I talk so much. I'm like, yeah, you really, time management's not your
So can I say that on average it's about 60 minutes a call?
Yeah, let's call it an hour.
Okay. So 60 minutes a call, but you've got like 12 no-shows, right? You said?
Yep.
Okay, so that's about 46 calls. If each call is 60 minutes, you have spent 2,760 minutes just on assessment calls alone. So that's 46 hours basically. That's a lot. A lot of hours. Okay.
I thought it was a lot of hours. I was thinking it was taking me a lot.
Okay, so 46 hours for 6 closes, right? You got 6 clients. So on average, the amount of resources that you take to get one client on board, it's about 7.5 hours or so.
Oh.
Okay, so from that angle, it sounds painful, right?
Oh.
But basically, we have found out the area that you can improve on, which is the assessment course, because you take 60 minutes. But it's really up to you to decide if you want to zoom into that. Like we can zoom into that, but you also have to decide whether like is the 60 minutes worth it for you, right? Because you also said that for them to keep going and going and going, it is actually one way for them to like convince themselves. Right. But at the same time,
but
it is
that's taking too much
exactly.
of my time.
Yeah. So that is like 60 minutes per person. And that's quite a lot of time, right? So what do you think? Do you want to zoom in and see how we can fix that?
Zoom.
Okay. So for an assessment
I love how
call,
numbers you are. Like I love how like business and numbers oriented you are. It just like it makes my life so much easier.
I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Exactly. No, I know.
There's no emotions involved or like anything that you can hide. It is what it is. That's why
Yeah.
I always like to zoom in a little bit. But yeah, 60 minutes is a very long time to spend with someone who hasn't paid you anything.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So
really interesting.
that's a very long time. So there are a few ways that we can zoom in a little bit more. For your
Well, I'm
calls,
glad that I structured them to only 2 that can happen on Mondays, and that's it. So it can't take up my whole week because I was like, this is taking up my whole week, and I was correct. It was taking up my whole week.
But do you
So
still want it to take up as much time as it does?
no. I've literally put it
Okay.
to 2 hours a week. That's all
Oh
it can take now
dear.
is 2 hours a week because
Okay.
it's I was like, this is insane. Like this is actually like
Okay.
Like, this is feeling like a full-time job. So no wonder why it was feeling like a full-time job, because it literally was. Okay. No,
Mm,
that's really good. Okay, but yeah, I've cut it down, but maybe that's not the right approach. Like, let's keep going with the
mm.
numbers, but I have
Okay.
minimized it
Mm.
a lot.
Okay, so when you're looking at your calendar from your own perspective, right, it looks like you have minimized the time, right? But you are actually minimizing the time that you would spend on assessment calls by reducing the number of assessment calls you take.
Yeah.
So actually, it is not a recommended approach, right? We always want to keep the funnel as like many as you can at the top, right? Because it has to go down the funnel, it has to filter down. So the lesser calls you take, the lesser clients you will get, right? That's why we have conversion rates, and yours for now is 10%, which is excellent, right? But that was you taking 48 hours of calls or 46
Mhm.
hours of calls, right?
Mhm.
So obviously that's not a very good idea. So what I would suggest you to do, if let's say you see that the 60-minute assessment call is maybe worth it, what you want to try to do is, let's say they decide not to work with you and the cost or the price is a reason to do that. How much do you charge now, by the way?
For what?
If someone decides to work with you after the call.
Usually they're taking the 3-session package, which is 450 Canadian.
Okay. Okay. What's the other package?
Sometimes they just get me to do it, and I do it in like an hour, less than an hour, and it's 170.
Okay. For the 3 sessions, how long is one session?
1 hour
Okay,
each.
so it's 3 hours in
Yep.
total.
Yep.
Okay. So it's either you do it for them for an hour or less at 170, or for a total of 3 hours, $450.
Mhm.
Right. But one is done for you, one is done with you. So
Mhm.
I'm assuming that the done for you it's something that you prefer.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's quick. It's really quick. I usually don't take
Mm-hmm.
an hour. I usually take like 20 minutes and do the thing and then send it to
Mm-hmm.
them. It's okay. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy talking with people more than just like doing their work. Like, it just reminds me of high school when I was like doing people's homework.
So do you
So
prefer the 3 sessions actually?
yeah, I really do prefer the
Okay.
3 sessions,
So
because they get like, it's just, I have so much more fun doing it. Whereas like otherwise I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever, just do this for
okay.
you.
Just from the pricing alone, I can already tell that you are underpricing
Mm.
your 3 sessions because people are paying you $170 to do it, right? But the done with you, which requires you to show up, it costs lesser per hour, which is
Mhm.
$150.
Mhm.
If I were you, I would increase it, to
Mhm.
be honest, right?
Mhm.
So what I've done earlier on in my when I was running my agency is every time I were to get a new client, I would raise my rates by 25 to 50%, depending on the results that I got from the previous client. Right. But the rule of thumb is always increase it after the last client. But I didn't have the confidence to like double my rates. I have met people who double their rates with every client they got, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Right.
Mhm.
So I started small, 25 up to 50% increase, and then it would, at least keep increasing along the way.
Mhm.
Right. So for your case, I have a feeling that you are underpricing
Mhm.
just from
Okay,
the
but if you're
numbers.
increasing your rates, then do you go back to your website every single time and just add, like, change your rates on your site?
If your rate is there, then yes, I would increase it every time.
Interesting.
Just something for you to think about because
So then
the
what's
numbers don't make sense right
Yeah, they
now.
don't make sense. Okay.
Mhm.
Oy vey.
But that's only one option, right? Which is to increase the price because, you mentioned that you want to kind of have more time in your week. So one way to do that is to take on lesser clients but at a higher rate. That's how you buy back your time, right? But that's
Mm-hmm.
not the only way. That is one of the ways. So what you can do is also for the people who you are jumping on calls with. Let's say for the 58 calls that you jumped, that you had, right? The assessment calls, 58 of them, 12 of them were no shows. But how many of them showed up, realized that there was a problem, but could not afford working with you?
The rest,
Okay,
they
so
all realized there was a problem. So it booked complete, and then one is empty.
so that would be around 40 people, but I'm just gonna half it, right? Just to be a bit more conservative. So let's say 20 people are ready to pay you to solve the problem, but they cannot afford the $450 sessions or the $170 do it for me kind of service.
Yeah.
Right. So out of 20 people, if you could offer them a do it yourself kind of thing, right? For people who cannot afford it, usually it's like a course, a step by step video or something like that. If 20 of them are ready to pay even just $50, that is an additional $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that you can consider.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I've been trying to like come up with how I can put things into a course that actually makes sense. Like I have a lot of videos, I have a lot of scripts, I have a lot of the presentations and stuff. This summer I have not been feeling well, so like recording myself seemed like the last thing that I wanted to do, but now that I'm starting to feel a little bit better, it's totally on my like 6-month plan is to come up with something that they can do on their own as a course, and then just like figuring out where I want to host it and all that kind of stuff has been a little annoying, but yeah, that's definitely because then that kind of catches some of the rest of them, right? So I have been thinking about that. See, my big thing is the big money is in the recruitment side of it. It's not in the personal coaching because you get 10% of their first year salary. So if someone's going for $150,000 job, I get 15 grand. So that's really where I think I'll be making a lot more money, and that's an 18-month runway to get there. So that's interesting. Yeah, so like increasing my coaching rates, that makes sense because maybe I could also do like a group. So for people who can't afford like the one-on-one price, there's like a group kind of session that people can pay for, and I've done that a little bit. People don't really like paying that much for like webinars and stuff, so it's kind of interesting. Increasing the rates, that's really, so 25% each time. I mean, at that point, like if I'm taking so many calls, then I can't have my rates on my website then, and I just have to say them because that'll be an extra like every time I talk to someone, I'm having to like update this website, and then people are seeing, you know what I mean? Like if someone goes and checks it from before, who now? I don't know. That's so interesting. It's not that I don't have the confidence to do that. I just like I don't think I should show my rates on my site then, so I can just say what my rate is every time. It's a little different. And that's like an insane amount of time to be spending with people though. But at the end of the day too, having the assessment call, that will help me on the back end with the networking because I have a video of this person. Like I can show the hiring manager, I can show these people who this candidate is. Like I've vetted them, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's why once I get like a better group of like the next week, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9 calls. 7 of them are discovery calls. No, 7 of them are networking calls, and 2 of them are I don't even know what these are. consultation calls. So maybe 2 of those are sales calls and 7 of them are the networking calls to get the recruitment firm like going a little bit more, and then I have 2 assessment calls on the Monday and like 1 coaching, but then possibly 2 other coaching hours because they have to like schedule them. So it's a lot. It's like a lot of meeting with people all day long. Like I'm always meeting with people for free. It's kind of shit, actually.
Okay. So right now, obviously, there are gaps, right, that can be fixed. But the first question would always be, which gap do you want to fix first? Right? And it's always one at a time. And even for your goals, right? Like your end goal is obviously to make it a full end-to-end like recruitment for product UX or even tech side of things. But that is like the end goal. So right now I see it as how can we set the foundation for that end goal? If you want to get more people to jump on calls, you need to kind of bait them in. So to me, when people jump on calls with you, I would guess that what they want is to see people actually improving when they work with you, right? Or see people actually landing jobs after they work with you. So that is probably what I will go after at the very early stages. Whether free or paid, it's up to you, right? But I would just be aiming for those results, because once you have those results, the calls will come in without you having to post a poll or anything. Like they will come to you. Right?
That's what's been happening like I haven't posted a poll in the past month and I've still been booked, and it's people somehow, like even last week, just from that one talk, I had 19 people reach out to me and a bunch of them booked an assessment call. Some of them booked a discovery call from that talk. Yeah. And like messaging me, like lots of messages, like lots of DMs. Like I finally went through them. There was like lots of DMs. So I think maybe, I know how you're saying like we want to keep the funnel like super, super open. But really, like if I could place even 5 of those candidates who I already have, I'm laughing. That's great. That's great. You know what I mean? So like I would actually really like to start focusing on getting networked into the companies who are hiring and like talking to people who are hiring people, or talking to someone who knows someone who's hiring someone, because that's another list that I have to build up. And that amount of trust is actually, I think, going to be harder to win over than just someone who's like, oh yeah, okay, I want to invest in my career, but like I don't know if I have the cash right now. Like that person might trust me. They're just literally broke and they need a job. And I have 58 candidates minus 12 because I didn't vet those 12 who didn't show up. So what, like 46 candidates who are like, at least 7 of them are experts. And like, one could be like a director of UX, that's a huge salary. So like if I could focus on actually like finding them positions, that to me, that's where that big thing is. Because then as soon as I do that for one person, then the floodgates will open, because then people will be like, oh my God, if you go to Hillary's assessment call, because I already asked everybody who I did an assessment call with to give me a review. And I got like, out of the 30 that I sent the messages to, I got like 15 or 14 reviews on LinkedIn on my personal page, because that's where everybody goes. Saying like, oh, this assessment call is great. Oh, it helped me so much. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like everyone was like so positive and like happy with that, which was really, I was like, oh, wow. Like they were like really like chatting about it. Right. So,
but what's the results that you want to ultimately achieve?
I want to place people and get money for placing people.
And
then if they need help to be placed, help them place themselves.
Okay. So right now you probably have two different types of people, right? That already trust you, that are paying you already, right? So these are the people that you potentially can help to please, right? So they obviously fall into two categories. One is they are ready to be placed. The other would probably be they need help, right? And that's why they are choosing to work with you, right? So what you want to do, or rather what I would do, is I would think, what do the companies want? Like when they are looking for people to join them, what ultimately do they want? And I would make sure that everyone that comes from me meets that standard. And then when I network with people, now I have something to show them, something to share with them, right?
Exactly.
So I think for your case, I mean, if I were you, like I said, that's the only way that I can look at this right now is, what I would do. I would probably spend all my time and resources investing in the 6 people who are working with me so that I can get them job ready by the time I am like speaking to CEOs, founders, the people that you network with. Because the end goal is to place them somewhere. You just need one to get the second one, and then the momentum will come. And that's where you will get more sales calls or more discovery calls, as you call it. Right. And by the time you have results, you can even think of ways to do the assessment calls without you being there.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, you hire someone, that's one option. Another option is to have those kind of self interview platforms where they have to record themselves, right? That's another way, or, there are many different ways. But at the end of the day, you want to keep trying to focus, what is the ultimate goal that you want. So right now is to land people jobs. So why not focus on that? Right? I know it might take 18 months, but if you laser focus, could it happen in 12 months?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Probably.
And if you were to invest in that 12 months, what's going to happen on the 13th month? Probably you get the calls coming to you without you going to them. And then your funnel is like moving on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people think that there is some kind of magic pill, I have to do this and that and that and that. But the truth is you just need to get the result that you want to promise people. Once you
Mm-hmm.
have that, it will move.
It's easy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of what my mindset, like I switched it over the last 2 weeks kind of, because it's like, okay, like I can't just keep collecting assessment calls. Like I actually like want to place someone. So now I actually need to start doing networking calls, which are just 10 minutes to meet someone, to say like, hey, what's going on? Like, what are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And then try to pitch my people who I've vetted, who I'm like, okay, this is an excellent communicator, great design skills, whatever that is, right? And I have all their information. I have candidate profiles. So yeah, okay, well that's good, because that's kind of what I was like thinking. I was like, I can't just keep collecting people. I actually need
Mm.
to
Transform them as
place
well.
the people. Yeah, and I
Yes.
mean like the people who need a transformation, like that's we've been working on that, right? And it's like, because of the assessment call, it's so laser focused. It's like, okay, this is exactly what you need to work on in order to nail that interview or whatever. Yeah. And then with the people who haven't worked with me and who have low scores, like those aren't people that I'm placing right now. It's like, no, your score's too low.
Mm-hmm.
There's zero
Mm-hmm.
confidence there. So that's, yeah, okay, that's good. So I'm like kind of on the right track, little tweaking. Oh man, just looking at my schedule next week is like, I by accident signed up for some like conference, so like blocked off my schedule this week. It's like, okay, I'm at a conference.
It's break time for you.
Break
It's just
time.
it's time
Yeah.
for you to rest at a conference.
Yeah.
What?
It's like, I'm resting. I'm at a conference. Because then the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like it just keeps happening. So yeah, I think you're right. I think you're, well, obviously you're always right. But the just laser focusing on getting them actually hired. That's really, it's where the big bucks are. And like I think in the next few months, one of those grants that I was thinking about is coming
Mm.
up again, and I'm actually going to be able to qualify for it this year. So, as far as being a recruitment firm and then having some sort of program that preps people to the level that they need to be at in order to become a candidate who I'm pitching and sending out for interviews, I feel like that's what this grant can kind of help cover, because that's like what they really like doing, is that education piece. So, and I met someone at another conference who was one of the speakers who actually got the exact grant that I wanted to get. And I asked her how she got it. And she said she hired a grant writer. But that's okay. I've written grants before. I understand how it goes. I'm going to go in, bring my mom in with me to the person because she's really good at grants too. Bring her into the interview to figure out like, okay, what is it that you're actually looking for? What do we need to do? And like, what, how do I win this? Because when I went to get my business insurance, she was like, oh my God, we have so much money for this kind of thing. And I was like, really? That's so interesting. So I want to go explore those options, because if that can kind of support me over the next 12 months while I'm being super laser focused on getting this networking side and like pitching my candidates, like the top candidates, then that seems like that'll like flip that switch. So that's fun. It's interesting though, because I had to actually like buy a list, because right now like my LinkedIn is like more it's like all UX people, and UX people aren't hiring UX people sometimes, but not really, especially not the people on LinkedIn. And so I had to buy a list. It was like the Worldwide Women's Association. You're just buying in to get the list, really. It's like $140, which was great because there's like 200,000 people on there. So I've been starting to message them for like these coffee chats, these 10-minute coffee chats. So that's recent. That's really recent. And I already have those 7 calls next week and then more the week after to start networking with them. So yeah, it'll be the year of networking.
Sounds fun.
It's like, you know what though, the assessment calls taught me how to like really listen on a call and like not talk so much and like be more calm. I don't even like show my face. I'm just chilling on the call. So I feel like networking now, I won't feel like, oh, I have to like provide so much. Like I can actually just listen and ask questions, because I've over 50 hours practicing that. So I think it won't be too bad. But I'm networking with a goal, right? And so I'm just going to be really upfront about that from the beginning and see how I can start building trust with people that way. Because it's a little different, right? You have to like you're saying, and that's where the assessment call comes in, because then I have to vet the candidate. Because I've had lots of people tell me, oh, I'm great at this, oh, I'm great at this, and then they show up to an assessment call and it's like, no, you're not. Or like they're like, oh, I have my master's of UX. They show up to an assessment call and they get 11 out of 25. It's like, okay, that's awesome. You have a master's. You can't communicate. So
have you ever thought of having a 15-minute discovery call but sell your assessment calls after that? Like for maybe $5, $10 kind of thing. To kind of weed out the egotistical people who think that they're all that, Because from what I see, the assessment call, it's not just for you to assess them or get to know them. Like from their angle, it is also a way for them to assess themselves,
100%.
and that is something that I would pay for because I'm getting something out of it as well.
Well, the number one feedback I've gotten is no one does this. No recruiter does this. This is like, no one's ever done
But
this for
that's the
me.
thing, you are not really a recruiter. Like I wouldn't position you as a recruiter because that would be a waste of the UX vocab club. to be very honest.
Well, but from the recruiter's perspective, so I've talked to a few
Mm,
recruiters, and
mm,
she was like, that's incredible that you have this club because you have the candidates. And that's the
mm,
one thing that recruiters don't have.
mm,
So yeah, I'm coming at recruitment ass backwards, but
mhm,
the club actually supports the whole thing because it's so niched.
mhm, mhm.
It's just backwards. I'm
That's
just blowing up the industry, and I just
yeah.
don't know. I
So,
don't
so
understand what I'm doing yet. So yeah, I think you're right though. I think having a
I would
discovery call to
I
sell the
would
assessment
charge.
call is
Yeah,
okay. It's
I would
totally fine.
actually charge for the assessment call because like I'm Hillary. I have this UX vocab club. You know, 6,000, 7,000 over UXers and product designers on board. You know, I've been in this industry for the number of years you have been in it, and you have worked with so many people. So if you want to assess yourself, if you want
Mhm.
to see like how you can get that promotion or how you can land that job in big tech or whatever it is that they want, there's this call that I've set up specifically to mimic not mimic, to simulate a UX professional interview. Right? It
Mhm.
includes this and that and blah, blah, blah. And at the end of it, you get the recordings, you get transcripts, you get feedback from me, even, right? Like
Mhm.
personalized feedback. It's not like generic feedback, personalized feedback.
Mhm.
And it's only like $4.99, whatever amount you want to charge them, right? Like if I were in the UX design industry, I would be like, yeah, I really want that job, but I'm not getting a callback from any other company, right? And I don't know what's wrong with me. And this interview is like $5 or $10. Why not I just try it out?
Mhm.
At least I get to assess myself. So that is the value that is guaranteed for me.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I see it. If I can
Mhm.
spend $5-10 to get personalized feedback, why not? You
Mhm.
know? But
Mhm.
obviously the person has to think of that as an investment. So you're gonna weed out a lot of people who are like freeloaders who only want that free feedback. And
Mhm.
I think $5 is quite reasonable.
Yeah. 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 No, that's really interesting. Lots to ponder.
I'm just thinking of ways to reduce your workload, maintain the funnel, and make some money. That's
I know, I love it.
basically
I
that's
love how
basic.
your brain works. It's like it's just so boop, 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 boop. Like, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because there's only so many hours in a day. Like this is the other thing. And then like if you're also posting like Tuesday, like I literally it's like nonstop all day.
Mhm.
Wednesday, it starts early and it ends late. It's just like, but I've set it up a little bit better so it's not so spread out. Like people can only really book meetings from like a certain chunk of time now. And so now it's all like compressed in this chunk of time. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? But it's yeah, charging for the assessment. So interesting. I love how you're charging for your 1 hour one-on-one call.
But it's kind of different because for me, that's not my real funnel. It's just
Yeah.
for me to like keep people
Test.
away, like,
Yeah.
stop asking me for free calls if you're not serious about it, because most of
Yeah.
them aren't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's just,
that's what your point is though, right? It's like
yeah,
funnel out the freeloaders because like
yes,
that does happen a lot. That does, I mean, not a lot, but like a lot.
quite common.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think for your case, $5 is a good amount. Like, if you want to raise it, like it's up to you. But the reason why I picked $5 is because I know of this other guy. Like he does like a community thing, right? Basically storytelling. That's his specialty. And every Sunday they have like a 2 hour session as a group. And his intention is to include everyone, like no matter how much they're earning and no matter whether they're like from a third world country or first world country. So he charges $5 flat per person per month. Like it's very generous of him. So yeah, I kind of thought about it, and yeah, as a person from a third world country, $5, I actually think it's okay. Like it's a sign that they are serious about it, but it's not so much that they're like, this is insane, I'm not gonna pay that amount. So yeah, I think $5 is a good amount to start at least.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, because it's a good tool, but like we're both saying, like, I mean, it's a good funnel, and like that's not the only funnel that I have either, right? Like that's just like that additional top layer that I added
Mm-hmm.
this summer. Um, I think the networking part with the companies, that's like I have to put my head down and just like
Yeah,
go hard, like
you
go
need
really
the
fucking hard.
time. You need the time and the energy for
To do
that.
that. Yeah, because like I have
Mm.
a list. I have a few lists. So I have that one list that I just bought this 200,000 people. I have another list that's like 834, I think. So I want like 14 of those companies to actually like get back to me. And they're like senior UXers. So they're not just senior, they're like directors, like they're managers, like they're people who would be hiring part of their teams. They'd be involved in hiring part of their teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that list of people that I want to tackle too, but I don't want to burn it. I didn't want to burn it while I was like still trying to figure out assessment calls.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I've got to go hard in on these basically, and then sell them that basically the script that the one recruiter gave me. She's like, "This is what you
Mm-hmm.
say. It's great." Like, and actually, a lot of them are like phoning them, like actually using my phone, and like
Oh
calling
wow.
them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what she said. She's like, that's what you have to do. And it's like,
Mm,
so I need time to like do that. Right. Because those phone calls will only be like 3 minutes,
mm.
right? Because like it's some executive, like they don't want to spend an hour on the phone with me. Are you kidding me? They'll give me like 30 seconds, 3 minutes maybe. But then it's just like making a bunch of those every day until someone bites. Yeah. Because that's what she said to do. She's like, you need to go in and do that. Like that's where you have to go. But I hadn't vetted any of the candidates yet. You know, I was like, yeah,
Right.
sure, they could be part of my club, but they could not be great at this. Which through my vetting, I've learned that that's actually very true. That's true. So I'm just
Mm,
people on like the top scoring, they're great.
okay. I mean, you mentioned that you have a script from an actual hiring manager. Um, what I would do though, like in the past when I started that tech startup at that time, so because it was also like a middleman, I had to also reach out to both sides of people, the consumer and the businesses. So what I did was that for the business side, I would speak to them and I would ask them in a way like, do you need people, in that area? If you do, like, what happened to the previous guy, or like, what are you looking for exactly? Maybe I can help you find something.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was very conversational. Like I had no intention of sharing the fact that this is a real business and like I'm going to charge you, and these are the payment plans, blah blah blah. I was just asking them, what problems did you have with the last
Mm-hmm.
guy, and what is your ideal candidate?
Mm-hmm.
That was all I was asking. So
See?
as long as they gave me an answer, I took it that okay, you are interested. So let me go and get what you want, and I will contact you again.
I love
Right.
that. That's
And
such a quick conversation.
it's not salesy at the same time. So the next time they see like my name in an email or on a phone call, on a WhatsApp,
They'll
whatever it
pick
is,
up.
exactly. Right. So that was what I did last
I
time.
love that. I'm writing it right now.
Okay.
My networking DMs. I have like all these different Grammarly files with all my different messaging so I can like copy and paste and do things.
Mm,
Okay, so what was wrong with the last guy? What are you looking for? Or what is your ideal? I love it. First intro convo with yeah, that's great. Then go find them. Yeah, that I think like just because I wasn't feeling well all summer, I just like I did not want to network. When you're not feeling well,
Yeah.
and you're an introvert, the last thing you want to do is like go be like, oh hey, hi there, like here's how I can help you. So now that I'm starting to feel a lot better, I'm like, okay, this isn't so daunting. This is actually kind of exciting. This could be my life. Like I can see this has legs. Like this would be really interesting. I could do this from anywhere. Like I like all of these things. It's using this past network that I've spent so long building to like boost it and amplify it. And if I could be known as like the go-to for this, like perfect, you know?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for you to come to Thailand and we can work together.
Yeah.
Like, there was something that we were talking about like a couple of months back.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure if you remember that.
Oh, I remember. Exactly.
I am waiting.
Yeah, I was actually, my friend was like, oh, I'm going to Thailand again. And I was like, oh, how much are the flights from here? Because like I hadn't looked at them. So he was telling me about the flights and stuff. I was like, okay. I started to budget a little bit. I'm like, So, yeah, you're on my list, girl. I feel like you're between you and my brother. Like, I want to go out to the Yukon and see him, but I really want to go to you. Yeah. Singapore, Thailand. Yeah. He just got back from Thailand, actually. He loved it. He had so much fun. Everyone's just going to Thailand. I'm like, oh, man. Wow.
You will soon.
Yeah. I had some clients ask me, they're like, well, like, when do you go on vacation? I was like, vacation?
What is vacation?
I didn't even realize it was a long weekend. Like, I don't do that. So, yeah, but I think you're right. Just like putting my head down and finding, like focusing on finding them their jobs. I feel like that would be the best because then just like you're saying, it builds up the trust and like you have such a good story to tell everybody. You're like, okay, well, this happened, and then look, and then people are like, like they all come.
Is that a turkey?
Yeah, like running.
Oh wow! I didn't know that was the sound that they made.
I used to play basketball and like grade 6 I started basketball and I was horrible. Like I needed glasses and I didn't know it. Like it was just horrible. And my brother would come and watch the games and he's 2 years younger than me. And he's like, Hillary, it's so annoying watching your basketball games because basically the ball it'd be like the ball just like pops up from a crowd, like bounces across, and then you have this like gaggle of girls like all going for the ball. And then the ball goes to the other side, and everyone's like
it's like throwing fish food in a fish tank and all the fish are like
yeah. Yes, exactly.
Oh,
so
wow.
Ever since he said that to me, like when I was in grade 6, I love that noise. I use it all the time, but it just reminds me of me like chasing a ball in grade 6. Oh man.
Okay.
That's okay. Wait, I've got a question though. Like, what amount of time is reasonable because like basically that math that you did in the beginning
Mm,
was the
mm,
like cost to acquire a client, right? Like cost per
mm.
acquisition. So what is a reasonable amount, or does that differ
It really
across
differs. It
industries?
differs based on, what you're doing. Like, because now you're not doing it as a coach anymore, right? Not purely as a coach, right? You have
Mhm,
recruitment at the end of your mind, so you have to
mhm,
do networking on the other side as well, and that's why your funnel is so different, right? So it's really hard for me to say, but I think you will kind of figure it out. Like I told you, you were spending like 7 hours, 8 hours per client, like 7.5 hours. You already had the feeling like, wow, that's a lot,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Considering that they were paying you like $450 for 3 hours on top of
mhm,
that, right? So it's actually like almost 10 hours per client if you
mhm,
include the delivery of the
mhm,
service plus the acquisition. It's 10 hours per client for
mhm,
just $450. That's $45 per hour.
mhm,
You
mhm,
probably earn more at a company, right? If you
mhm,
were to work as an employee. So it's really up to you how you want to see it. For some people, $45 an hour is a pretty okay rate. Like they're not aiming for great numbers or anything like that. But
mhm,
if you feel like you want it to be 60 dollars per hour, or 80, 90, 100, or 150, whatever it is, you can just slowly work towards that. Just keep the numbers in mind
mhm.
and keep tracking them, so you will make sure that I am going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'm not going opposite and then you turning and all of that. Yeah, so
Mhm,
usually I have an Excel sheet to roughly key in the numbers, based on last week, how much time did I spend on this client and that client, whether it was okay or not, based on my own sentiment. I think comparing to industry average is something that a lot of entrepreneurs like to do, but I don't think that my ideal is the industry average. So I
mhm.
don't ever look at that. I just look at my schedule, my life, my bank balance. Am I happy with that? Yes. Okay. Good. That's about it.
So simple. So
Mm-hmm.
simple. Okay, but then what was the math that you actually did on that? So I told you I had 58 clients, 12 of them didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
6 of them were won. So what's the math that you're doing behind the scenes there?
Okay, so for 58 people, you said that it was about 40 minutes to kind of um, go through the list to get them on that assessment call,
Yeah.
right? But for each of them, you spent about 60 minutes.
Yeah.
But out of 58 of them, 12 of them didn't show up, so it's about 46.
Mhm.
That's and for each of them, if it's about an hour, right? Because some of them are 45 minutes, some of them are hour 15. So let's just
Yeah.
take the average, which is 60 minutes, or an hour. Total is 46 hours,
Right.
right? And then um what was it that I calculated? For 6 of them, you just have to take 46 hours, which is the total amount of time you took to acquire the top of funnel, which is
Mhm.
58 minus 12,
Mhm.
right? So that total number of time, you only closed 6, right? So
Mhm.
the number of hours that you spent for each of the people that you close is 46 divided by 6.
Oh, okay, okay,
So
okay, okay.
it's about 7 hours and 40 minutes per person. So you can round up or round down, it's up to you. So 7 to 8 hours per person that you have gotten. But you have to remember that each of them paid different prices, right? There's one that paid you 170, and there are others who paid you 450. So 450, let's say multiply by 5,
Mhm.
right? So 5 of them paid 450, one of them paid 170. You made 2420, $2,420.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the numbers that you have to kind of keep in mind. You spent 46 hours, right, to make 2420.
Mhm.
So per hour is about $50 or so.
Okay. I get it.
Okay.
Interesting. Wrote that down. Keep track of that one. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, the numbers make sense. They're not great, but they make sense. That's good. It's good to keep track of numbers because then it hits you in the face like.
What was that?
I just got smacked in the face with my numbers.
Yeah.
It's a little. It stings a little. It hurts a little bit.
I mean, you can tell that I used to be an accountant. So
yeah,
basically that was something that I had to do in the past.
I love that. But that's great. And that's why I love talking to you about this stuff because you have such a different mind frame from me. I've given away my time for free my entire life. I've always helped people without asking anything in return my entire life. And now it's like the first time where I'm actually starting to put dollar value to my time and effort. And then even just thinking about, okay, how does that, like, it's interesting, the cost per acquisition. I mean, that's something they always ask on Shark Tank. Always. Right? They'd be like, ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now it would be like in terms of hours because you're not spending on hiring or ads and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So, in terms of hours, you can actually also turn it into dollar value if you could just estimate, per hour, what's your value at the moment.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So then it doesn't actually make sense at all.
Yeah. So in that case, I mean, for your business model at the moment, it doesn't really make sense. But in the future, once you start automating the funnel a little bit, you start outsourcing, everything will make sense. Like you will see the picture just kind of scale up and the numbers all start to move about. And you'll be like, this is an area that I can optimize, or this is an area that, too high of a cost. I could be undercharging, or I could be spending too much time trying to acquire this customer and blah blah blah. And that's how you optimize your business further from there.
I love it. I love it. I always learn so much with you. It's incredible.
I mean, we have to take a moment to look back at like Hillary from last year. I mean, it's been almost a year since we first met. And yeah, I mean, we started working together, I think, in October or November. At that time, we were doing the brand strategy and stuff. And you were crying because you found your why, your purpose, kind of decided what you wanted to do, why you're doing this.
Absolutely.
Oh,
bawling my little eyes out.
Yeah, but today it's different. Today it's like Boss Hillary. I have a goal. I'm going to be speaking with and networking with companies. I bought a damn list. I have a freaking funnel. I booked out till mid-September. Like, where did this boss come from? Wow.
Oh, thank you. That's good. That's true. That's true. Progress. Progress is progress. I have such a bad tendency of like discounting things that I've done and like forgetting things. You know what I mean? Like just like looking so forward that like you're not just like appreciating. Oh yeah, okay, like yeah, this time last year I was bawling my eyes out because I had no idea what I was doing. Okay, cool. Now I have some numbers I can play with and analyze and be like, oh, okay, like here's some areas to tweak, as opposed to like nothing, right? So, yeah, that's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. I love math because math doesn't lie. It just makes it so simple. And even if you show this to people, you're like, hey, I've spent 46 hours. Like, I could even make that like, okay, I've spent 58 hours with people, 46 hours, whatever, mastering the assessment call. So like now if you want an assessment call, it's $5 or whatever. It's this. Like people are like, oh, wow, okay, great. Like,
Mm.
like they're not afraid to pay for something that makes sense. That's also
Mm.
what I've learned is like if it makes sense to people, they will transfer money, they will do whatever, they will make it happen and they'll pay for it, right? So
Mm.
that's been interesting over the past little while. And now it's just about figuring out exactly what the company's looking for so I can just place somebody and be their go-to person when they need someone to fill a contract, need someone to, step in and like whatever, do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh man. I'm getting tired just thinking about it. It's a lot of work. Jesus. It's good. It's good though. It's good. I think, and I honestly think that the company I was looking for to get that grant will actually be super excited about this specifically because you know how a year ago I was saying like, oh, like I want Canada, like I want to put Canada on the map for
Mm.
like they just opened up 3,000 visas for people to come to Canada who are in science, technology, engineering, and math. And the technology and
Mm.
engineering are really the aspects that I touch on, right? And who I
Mm.
have a global community with. So I really want to kind of put myself somehow in that government funnel where it's like, okay, they're coming in. Okay, if they're coming in for UX, you get vetted through because there's certain, like if you're coming into HR from Singapore, right, and you're coming in to do that in Canada, there's like a program that they take. It's like 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever. And by the end of that program, they have an equivalent certificate just to make sure that their skills that they
Mm.
learned are up to the standards here. So I kind of want to like be that
For
person for
UX.
UX. Yeah. And so I was like
Mm.
reaching out to the ministers. They did not get back to me, but that's fine. Like try, just trying though. And I feel like if I can kind of pitch it that way to this grant place, they'll be like, whoa, yeah, because they work really closely with government groups and with stuff like that. So that would be really, really cool. So I'm glad that just happened and that like I'm now eligible for the grant now. You know what I mean? Like I feel like things are lining up properly.
Mm. Mm.
It's just that runway and then being able to like laser focus on what I need to focus on, which you're correct, is the networking and is just placing those people. Because if I could place those people, then I could be on a plane to Singapore, basically.
Woo!
You know?
Yes.
It's that kind of money. It's like, oh, that's way different. So, but
Mm.
that's also why I think like recruiters end up ghosting people and they spend a lot of time. Like you're always on the phone and you're always connecting people. And it's because, their payout, it's not 170, it's not 450. It's like usually average at least 7 grand,
Mm.
sometimes 15. You know what I mean? Like it's between 7 and 15 typically. So that'd be interesting to work through those numbers and then kind of work that backwards to see, okay, so it should take me about this long if I want to still be making good money, to go back. And like the better they score on on the assessment call, the higher they can actually be placed. So they're not being placed at like a junior level or a senior level. It's like a leadership position. And those actually pay a lot more
Mhm.
also, right?
Mhm.
So, and then if those people needed to hire juniors, then I have a bunch of juniors also. You know what I mean? So like I could even support them in then hiring the rest of their teams. So like I can see it. You know what I mean? Like before I couldn't see anything in the future. I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. But now I can see it and I'm like, no. This actually makes a lot of sense. It is different. It is different recruiting from like your typical recruiters, but I was like, that's just gonna help me stand out even more. So like that's fine that I have this group that I'm drawing from because that was literally the recruiter was like, what? That's a gold mine, was her point. I was like,
Mm. Mm.
how do I mine it then? Like, what do I do? Because like yes, money motivates me, but I'm more motivated by people. You know what I mean? Like I've always been more motivated just by helping people. So I've never thought in numbers and I've never thought monetary values associated with that until I met you, which has only been a year. So Or else I would have been some rich bitch, man. Like for sure. For sure. But that's never like been a drive of mine. I was like, oh, how can I help you? Oh, you're in need? Oh, let me just give you all the things. Which is why, going back to that original point that you said, where it's like you're giving away everything for free. I've been giving away everything for free forever. And now,
But that's the right way to do it, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Mm.
Even this assessment call, I'm not doing it the right way. So I still don't know what the free version of my stuff is, but I think it's just like a learning process, basically.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it took us months, like, for you to get here.
Yeah.
And I think it's relatively fast for you already. You know, you're already seeing results. You already have like 6 closed clients, and you have this plan. You have the networking. You bought a list. You're on your way, and you can see the ultimate goal of
Yeah.
your business and how it's gonna work. So yeah, there are definitely a lot of tweaking to do, some gaps to fill, but the structure is already like almost there.
Yeah. Okay,
And
good.
for you to build that structure in a couple of months, I think it's a good time, like a good rate of time to
Okay.
move. It's not too fast and it's not too slow. Like sometimes people move too fast and
Yeah.
they crash and burn. So
Yeah. Yeah. Which I
mm,
wasn't wanting. I wanted to start doing things like more sustainably so that I
mm.
wasn't having these like high manic periods with like these low, like, I'm so tired, I can't move periods, right?
Are you still doing your boxing?
This summer, honestly, no, I didn't do any boxing. I was feeling so shit. I got like shit news early in the summer. One of my friends, some crap happened. It was horrible. And then I went kayaking once and got an ear infection because like I didn't check like, is the lake safe to be in? No. Answer was no. Got like so sick. I was sick for like I had to go in multiple rounds of like I had to like an external ear infection and then an internal ear infection and then like oh my god and I didn't know about it for like 3 weeks. I kept being like, why is my jaw sore? Why am I so tired? I was like straight up just like had these massive ear infections. So no, this summer was total shit. I mean, it was great, like yay summer, like woo. But like as far as like a well-being thing,
Mm,
like
mm,
crash and burn, baby. Last week I went back to boxing after 10 weeks of not being at boxing. I went to boxing and I went to one class and then I went to another class on the Saturday. So I did a Friday night and a Saturday night. Oh my God. I could barely move. I was like, what just happened to me? It was amazing though. It was so good. And this Friday I'm going back. So I'm trying to like schedule it in so it's not every day because I was spending so much time at the boxing ring because I was helping them, you know, do their website and do all this stuff. And so it and then once I started in June, starting with these new assessment calls and things, my schedule totally like it just started to get so busy like with calls in a different way. So I was like trying to figure that out. And yeah, no, just stop going to the gym, which is horrible. It's a horrible decision. When you're not
mm,
feeling well, it's like the last place you want to be, but it actually helps you feel better.
mm,
So no, I'm going back on Friday. I love the Friday, Saturday at the gym. It like really separates my week from my weekend in a
mm.
really nice way and gives me like a lot of energy. Um, so I'm just going to try and do that for the next little while, see if I can maintain that. And if I can, then I can maybe add another day of the week in to box. Otherwise, like just doing exercises by myself. My ballet beautiful. Yeah, because that's so important. And I honestly like I missed it, but at the same time I had no energy to do it.
Mm,
So I was just like totally down. So
mm.
not recommending. Do you do any workouts? Like do you do any exercise?
Yeah, I mean, my boyfriend, he has like a home gym. Like we set up like a small area. Like he's crazy. He works out like 5 times a week
Yeah.
minimum. I don't
Wow.
know where he gets that discipline, but yeah. Anyway, probably peer pressure. So when I see him work out, I'm like, okay, I have to work out. So I work out like at least 3 times, but for him,
Oh,
it's
that's
like
good.
at least 5 times. But that's like pretty much all I do, because work consumes you, becomes your life,
It
and I
does.
I really hate it. Like the idea of being in this chair, looking at this screen the whole day.
I know.
Sometimes when I look back, I'm like, what am I doing?
I know. No, but I know what you mean. I was really struggling with that this summer. Like really
Mm,
struggling. I stopped posting on LinkedIn. Like my numbers went down for um my newsletter. Like I'd been consistently getting like 200 to 300 people signing up, which is like a great, like 80, like 10 1 month, because like I just wasn't posting. I wasn't, involved. And I still am not really posting on LinkedIn because I'm just trying to figure out like what, like, yes, like my drive is people and like I love helping people, but like, do I have to be just behind this screen for the rest of my life? Like, is this literally what my life is going to be?
mm,
So like it'll be interesting to like start using the phone and like connecting with people, because then, I can take a list, I can go to a coffee shop and I can like
yeah.
just do phone calls from the coffee shop. I don't need my computer necessarily. So I think, trying to break that up is really, really good. I really liked giving that presentation the other day. I had so much fun. Everyone had so much fun. I got so many messages saying like, "Wow, that was awesome! Your energy, blah blah blah." That was like my first one in months because I hadn't been feeling like that. And I know you have to bring that when you do something like that. Like I have
Mm,
to bring the energy, bring all that. So
mm-hmm,
that was nice, and that really, like, encouraged me. I was like, "Okay, that's actually I really love doing that aspect of it." So, like, maybe if I could get, like, more groups involved and, like, doing more presentations out to people, or, like, being asked to come in and, like, do that kind of thing, like, I that actually gives me energy for some reason. That's great.
mm,
So that was really cool because I got really, like, happy and excited after it. I was like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah," like, and it was late at night too. I was, like, talking so much. Turkey talking. Oh,
mm,
but so that was cool to see, and it's really nice to, like, see all the positive feedback, like, when I asked people for feedback, like, how like, you even sent me, like, a really nice recommendation, and, like, but, like, you were the only one who I was like, I was your client, everyone else was recommendations as my clients, and
mm,
so it was really cool just to see how helpful I'm actually being to people, like, that was really nice, and I was like, "Okay, that's fairly motivating to like spend more time here." But it's like, okay, that's when you want to like automate things and make sure that like you're not spending too much time doing some of the more menial tasks, right?
mm,
Like, because there's a lot, like I have a lot of stuff that I could like be working on, like I have like all those videos that I have that I can edit and make something out of. I have all those transcripts that I could like essentially make a chatbot out of. Like there's
mm,
all these things, but it's like, okay, but what's actually driving income right
mm,
now? What are people wanting right now? Like what's the very next step? Because you can't work on everything all the time.
mm,
Like I realized I needed to be more like physically creative, because like I'm a very creative person, and I went from being a material artist and designer to now sitting behind my computer. And so I got like a sketchbook that's
mm,
just it's over there, that's just for art. And like I read an art book, and I'm like going through like the art uh projects in the art book. There's like 6 of them. So that's, but I'm like making like 15 minutes a day, not a lot of time. Sometimes it's less, but like taking, and not every day, but like taking time to like be physical, do some art, or like play my piano, like do some sight reading, like 15 minutes, just play it. It's fine. Go for walks, like actually like do things that aren't just like business focused or behind the computer
mm,
constantly.
mm,
Because like I get a lot of joy from like being out and about and like interacting with people and like doing like hands-on stuff.
Mm.
So that's the struggle that I'm having. And as I feel better and better, because like before I was behind the computer because my leg was broken and I was really sick, right? But now that I'm feeling better, my leg is better, it's like all these things are better. I'm still here and I'm like, hey, wait, well, why am I here
Mm.
again?
Mm.
So it's hard. Bill Gates wouldn't agree. He like there's like some myth that he like ripped the CD player out of his car, the radio out of his car, because it was distracting him from thinking about his business on the way to work.
Mm.
And I mean, he's like super successful, but like, I don't want to be Bill Gates.
I mean, he is laser focused. The way his mind works, it's like a computer of its own. So,
Yeah, it's crazy.
so I don't really like look at what they do almost. I think it's too weird for me.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Also, we're not dudes. We're not dudes. It's a different, like, imagine Elon Musk had all those kids and carried all of his kids himself as a woman. He has like 15 kids. Imagine he'd like been pregnant all those times. Wouldn't have happened. Right? It's like it's different. It's different. So like, and I know there's like all these like male, female, what's the gender, blah blah blah, whatever. Not getting there, but like it's different. And so to like pick those guys and like just think about what it is that they're doing, it's like, yeah, but they didn't have their period last week. They're going through the same hormones every day. They have a 24-hour cycle. They're having their same hormones every day. I wake up every day with new freaking hormones happening. And that like sometimes I am really chatty. Sometimes I just need to sleep. Sometimes there's things happening that I need to like go deal with, right? Like it's like we're on like such a different like ride basically. So yeah, like finding them and like finding their laser focus. I'm like, yeah, but if I'm on like a low progesterone week, like there's no way that I can have that laser focus. Like they're just like constant testosterone, like here we go, woo, rat it, right? Like it's so different. So yeah, I'm with you on that, but like I'm trying to find like some female execs that I can like kind of look at and be like, oh, like what are you doing throughout the month? Like what does your schedule look like? Do you change your schedule depending on like where you're at? Like I even started tracking my period just so I could understand my hormones a little better. I'm like 35 years old now, and like the first time I've actually like started tracking this just so I could like understand like why this week do I have no energy, or like why am I so irritable? Like what's happening to me? So, started tracking that, and that's actually been helpful. That's been helpful in getting me out of this like funk of the summer. Usually I'm not funky in the summer. Usually I have like great times. I'm like super happy. I'm always out. It's great. But this summer was just like not ideal to be a business owner.
Okay, I was not expecting that, but
well, because like you stress yourself out. You're like, okay, but like I can't be lying in bed right now. Like I actually need to be working on this. I need to be doing this. And then you just like get this massive list in your head and you're like, oh, I need to. And then you just fall asleep crying because you're like, oh, like no, I didn't do any of those things. And it's like you can't beat yourself up like that. You need to actually like take time to like get good, right? So that then you can put that out, and so that you're not coming across desperate, or you're not coming across chaotic, or whatever that is. Like you're coming across like with your brand image that you want to actually portray, right? So it's and then yeah, just not beating yourself up. Really, that's what I learned this summer. It's like to be really gentle with myself, because like I'm so competitive, but I'm really only competitive with myself. Like I could care less what we're actually doing. Like I'm so competitive with myself. So I need to, which is why I often discount things that I've previously done, because I'm like, oh, that's past, Hillary. Like we've moved on, and it's like, no.
excuse me? Hold on a second.
Hold up. Yeah. So, yeah. But it's nice. Like we haven't chatted for like 6 weeks or something like that. I was like, yay, Agnes. I was so excited to see you today.
Yeah, it's been a while. Then I was wondering what happened to you because it was so unlike you for you to not like respond.
Yeah.
And I was like, should I double text? Like, no, maybe. I don't know. I mean, will I seem like I'm annoying? I don't know, but probably you're busy with business. That's what I kept telling myself. You're
Yeah.
probably just kicking ass, making ton of money, having
I
a lot of
wish.
calls.
I had a lot of calls, that's for sure. But like, yeah, no, I was just really, really out of it.
Mm,
Like super
it's
out of it to the point where
okay.
my mom was like, you should go talk to someone. I was like, yeah.
Mm,
So I still have to do that. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's been really interesting. But like not interesting in like I guess it's been productive, like you're saying. Like it wasn't like too fast, not too slow. Like I still have like this structure that I've set up. So and I can see something happening, but it's just getting there, right? It's like,
mm,
okay, now what do I have to do to get there?
mm,
Which obviously even today, like I know a little bit more of what I have to do to get there, which is great.
mm,
But it's I think this is why a lot of people give up. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of
mm,
work. You have to like be good in yourself. You have to be like feeling productive. You have to be making money. You have to like have some future goal. You have to understand the points of how to get there. Like that's
mm,
all, just even that list can be completely overwhelming, right? So like I
mhm,
understand why people are like, I tried that. No, I'm just going to be an employee. Great, peace, whatever, bye. Right? I have no
mhm,
desire to be an employee at
mm,
all. But it's interesting. I can see the mindset. I can see why most businesses fail. 100%. I
mm.
understand why. So that's good. At least I learned that this year.
I mean, probably shameless plug here, but I feel like a lot of people they need help,
Yeah.
but they are so adamant on the fact that, oh, I just haven't tried everything, or I just haven't tried hard enough. But like for me, sometimes I can tell that probably, yeah, you haven't tried everything, but you probably will not succeed even if you try everything. Like there are a few people like that, but there are also people who are very capable, and yes, they just need more time. But unfortunately, most of the people that I've met with, they're kind of in the first
On the
group,
other side, yeah.
but they don't recognize the fact that, maybe I should seek help.
Yeah.
And I think as an entrepreneur or as a human being, knowing when to ask for help, that's like a skill of its own. Like that
100%.
self-awareness. And a lot of people just don't have that type of discipline or like even the ego to admit that, okay, maybe I need help. Maybe I want to invest in that help. Maybe I need to speak to someone or whatever it is. And yeah, I'm just glad that more and more people are opening up to that fact, but not enough or not white cast enough.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's true. I think that's one of the hardest things to do is to ask for help, because you have to understand that you need help in the first place. So you have to be actually aware of what's going on. You can't have some like illusion of what's happening, right?
Mm,
Great way to break through illusion, math.
mm. Look at how bad you are. How sucky are you? You need help.
You need help. Look at the numbers.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay.
good.
I think that is a good way for us to end off today's chat. I mean, I had a
Mhm.
lot of fun.
Me
Numbers are
too.
fun to us, I think. And yeah, I'm just glad that, things are progressing and you are closing clients, which is badass. And yeah, I'm looking forward to our next chat because I want to know, what is UX Vocab Club, becoming in 2 weeks and the 2 weeks after and maybe the month after and so on and so forth. It's really interesting for me to look at it from a third party perspective. So I can see the growth very clearly. I can see how you sometimes maybe it's like, oh, there's a shiny object here. I want to turn, like I can see all of that. So it's very interesting for me as well. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, the chats with me every 2 weeks or
Oh
so.
yeah.
And I hope that I'm still helping you out, like in terms of business.
Yes, girl. That's what I've been saying all day. I'm like, you like I'm like looking at these numbers now. I'm like, interesting.
All right,
No,
Tom.
it's very,
I
very
think
helpful.
this is a good time for us to end off the podcast. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, just thank
All
you.
good?
Thank you so much. I really
No
enjoyed chatting with you.
problem. All right, then I will see you on the 6th of September.
Sounds good.
Good luck.
Bye. Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.